Welcome again, another episode of Imoto on TV, and we've got Mr. Motorman, the CEO of Wesbank Motor, Mr. Ghana Msibi. Mr. Msibi, welcome again to another episode of Imoto on TV.
Hey, how is it? I don't get used to this Motorman thing. I don't understand how I ended up with this title.
But it means you're the man that makes things happen.
Hey, apparently.
Speaking of making things happen, we're seeing more finance products in terms of buying cars. And the recent one, which I think Wesbank has been pushing quite aggressively on, is this thing called GFV, Guaranteed Future Value.
Yeah.
What is it?
A guaranteed future value is a different way of allowing customers to access a product without necessarily the burden of ownership. Yeah. We noticed that a lot of people buy cars, but they don't really pay the cars up. They change them after 3.5 or 4 years. However, in the installment, what is factored in is an installment for the total vehicle itself. So a guaranteed future value is what we call a lease product. So you can use the car as you would use a car that you own. Of course, there are restrictions in terms of kilometers, depending on each manufacturer. But what then happens is there is an amount in that the total cost of that car that is deferred to the end of the contract, and if you would then only pay an installment on a certain portion. So, as an example, if a car is 100 rand, the manufacturer and the bank will then calculate what percentage they would classify as what we would call a residual value, an RV, and a residual value is calculated scientifically, looking at the car mileage to be done, and then we project what the future, retail value will be of that car. What will that car cost? What do we think that car will cost in future? Yeah, and then what we then say is that minus that percent. Let's then assume that the RV is 50%. So if the car is 100 rand and my RV is 50 rand, so effectively you will then purchase the vehicle on the GFV for 50 rand for a period of time, and it's normally shorter than the 72 months, and so you will pay up and you will use the car. After the 36 months, you take the car, bring the key back to the dealership, and you say thank you very much, and you've got the option of getting into another car, or if you want to, you continue with the contract, but it gives you the option. You don't have the burden of now saying I have to pay this car to the end and I must sell it. The OEM, or rather the manufacturer, takes the car back, and then they will decide what to do with the asset.
So the issue that people almost always have, where there's a shortfall between your settlement and the value of the car, and also the issue of at the end you've got this balloon payment. So with GFV, after the contract is done and you've met all the terms, that's it.
Bring the car back. I mean, in South Africa, it's a very new product, but across the world where we've tested, it's a very, very mature product. And people don't believe in the philosophy of owning a vehicle. People don't necessarily believe in the philosophy of, making sure that I pay for 72 months, etc. And so the GFV has taken off exceptionally well. As you've said, at the end of the 36 months, if I've met all my conditions, the car is in the shape, I've done the kilometers, I drive back to the dealership, and I say, thank you very much, there's your car. They check and you walk away, you buy a new car or you do something else, and that's it. It's as simple as that.
So this is only for new cars. So you're basically changing from one new car to another.
100%.
So it doesn't apply to used. So
at the moment, no, we have not played in the used space, but it's definitely something that's on the horizon. For now, it's still in the new car space, where, as you've rightfully said, you can drive a new car every 3 years.
I've seen the installments, and I've seen they're quite lower than what a normal installment would be. And you mentioned that you're looking at a percentage where it could be 50%. So basically you own 100% of the car, but you're paying a portion of the car, and after 3 years it goes back.
That's it. That's exactly it. And so this is the interesting thing about this thing, to say you are not in any shape or form receiving 50% of the value of the car. Yes, sure, albeit there are restrictions in terms of kilometers and mileage, etc. But a lot of people don't even do the mileage that they actually buy the car to do. That's the reality, and we've seen that. And as you've said, at the end of the contract, people normally sit with outstanding amounts and they can't trade their car in and all good and wonderful things. And so with this, what simply then just happens is that car, you don't owe anything. As long as you've met those conditions, you bring it back, it's someone else's problem. And so we and the manufacturer would then have to figure out how do we then dispose that car. And so we've got mechanisms that we use to dispose that car. And remember, we would have calculated correctly 3 years ago what the residual value should be. So, you know, we are in a very similar position to where we would want to be when we get a asset of that nature.
Now, we're in Mzansi, you know, and everyone is skeptical. You know, is it too good to be true? Is there any catch? You know, should consumers be looking at their back thinking something's going to give?
So in all honesty, there is really no catch. The only aspects that I could say are a catch is you need to understand the underlying terms and conditions of that GFV scheme. You need to understand the underlying mileage restrictions, if there are. Not all of them have got. I mean, it depends, right? And you need to you also need to understand the underlying maintenance conditions. And in most cases, it's a new car, so it's got a maintenance plan. You service at the OEM. You insure the car, and of course you don't, you know, bump the car and bring it back without a bumper, you know. So you must take care of the asset as much as you possibly can. And at the end of it, no catch, Baba, you're out.
This is very interesting. You mentioned the mileage, you mentioned the condition. So basically, once the OEM has given you the mileage that you've got to do, you stick to that, you look after the vehicle, and that's it. So those are the major terms.
But you must pay the installment first as well, right? Okay. Yeah, so there's the conditions of mileage condition, and then you pay that installment, and those are an insurance, of course. But that's it.
So that's a lower installment.
Yeah, well, of course, it's calculated depending on that package. But yeah, in most cases, because it's calculated on a portion of the amount. Remember I said, if you do an RV of a residual value of 50%, the installment is going to be calculated on the 50%. So of course, if you're calculating an installment of 50 on 50%, it's always going to be an installment lower than an installment of 100%. So definitely something for consumers to consider. There's a lot of schemes that we've put out there. Go look out. Maybe you can drive the car you like much sooner than what you think.
Now, speaking of schemes, I think you've seen our videos where we've reviewed cars and we've spoken about the guaranteed future value. These are products that Wesbank is pushing. So make sure you tune into our videos. I think Mr. Msibi has given us more information about this animal that I thought was this big thing. There's a catch. I'm seeing now 3 years, I drive a new car. So again, tune in, go see our products. Those are Wesbank products. There's a bank that is reputation. So it's not going to change all of a sudden. Just drive a new car every 3 years. And you don't have a problem of trade-in value. You need to put some money into getting out of the vehicle. And I think on that, what is your final take that you'd say to the consumer in Mzansi who's skeptical and the one who's thinking, now I've heard about this, what should I do?
I'd say to the consumer out there that as Wesbank, we have got a brand to maintain, and so in even engaging and putting this product with the market, we have definitely considered the interest of the customer. We would like to continue to ensure that we treat our customers fairly, and so there is in reality no catch, no trick. You know, it's not a will surprise you in future kind of thing. It's really another way we are trying to make access to motoring affordable. We truly believe there are a lot of opportunities in the South African market because, you know, if you understand the percentage of people that actually own cars, we think that there's definitely an opportunity for a lot more people, you know, to be able to own cars. So give it a try, go and engage with the brand of your choice. And if they do have a product or a scheme on offer, ask them about it. Understand the mileage and the conditions, and I'll say try it out.
Again, thank you, Mr. Msibi, and we're hoping to have more engagements on things that are happening in the country, and so people should really tune in on our YouTube channel and just visit Wesbank as well to get more information about this. We're going to keep giving you about all the information about this thing. Again, Mr. Msibi, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And all the best on your new position.
Thank you. Appreciate
And yeah, we're looking forward to driving those dream cars for 3 years.
Me too.
Again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All the best.